In the morning light, I'm chasing dreams, navigating through the office streams. Deadlines looming, emails piling high, wondering if I'm reaching for the sky or just passing by. The world outside, it's a swirling storm, chaos in the streets, a daily norm. But inside my mind, I'm seeking peace, a way to balance, a moment to seize. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place. Upon meetings, voices in my head, strategies and plans, where do they lead instead? I take a breath, step back to see the bigger picture, what's meant to be. Coaching sessions, a guiding light, helping me focus, setting things right. With every word, a new perspective gained. In the game of life, it's not about the pain. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place. Quiet moments, I find my voice. In the chaos, I make my choice to lead with kindness, to act with care, to be the change, to show I'm aware. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Careers, Chaos, and Coaching, Season 3, Episode 2. I am Felipe Cofino, here with my amazing co-host, Melissa Houston, and we are excited about today's topic on leadership. Is it a role or is it a responsibility? And why does trust hang in the balance? So we're going to be diving into that topic. But before we do that, Melissa, how are you doing today on this Sunday?
You know, Felipe, I hate to say it, but I'm already kind of ready for this thing that's coming, the last quarter of the year. I'm not even going to say the word. It starts with W. It brings a lot of cheer. It's colder, but also I live in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm seeing signs of it outside. It's a little foggy. There was some rain this morning. There's no more warm days on the horizon for me, so I'm feeling good, but it's definitely sweater and coffee weather up here. So that's what I'm excited about. Also,
go ahead.
I'm feeling really excited because yesterday was my 2-year work anniversary, and I've taken a few days off of my other show that I'm doing just to rest and kind of realign my stuff. So I'm feeling great. But what were you going to say? Sorry.
No, I was saying it, but the weather, you're right. Even here in DC, which typically it stays hot until we've had 70-degree weather in December, which is annoying. But last week of August, it was in the 60s and 70s here, which is not normal. It's usually 80s and 90s. And today it is right now a nice 65 degrees. My wife just went outside to do a little bit of shopping. We did a little weekend getaway, just 40 minutes away in this cute little town that just got a lot of fun things to do. And she saw the shop, and she's like, you know what? While you and Melissa do your show, instead of watching it, I'll catch the replay. I'm gonna go shopping. I'm like, all right, fair enough. But
I love
yeah,
for her. Honestly, right? Just ditching life to go break up your routine, guys. Also, I think Jackie would love your staycation you just did. I saw her in the comments, so I wanted to
Oh,
right?
Jackie,
She just did a post about that too. You guys got to chit chat about this now.
Jackie, I gotta tell you about this place because this is I want people. I'm gonna post about this because I want people to, really when you think about traveling, we tend to think about far away, and I want people to think about what is in your own backyard because this place is less than 40 minutes away. It's right outside DC, and it's got street closures all around that are permanent. People are walking down the street like it's like a festival, but it's just a regular Saturday night. You have individual people playing music. You got restaurants by the water. It's amazing, right? But here was this is what I was telling Melissa that blew my mind. My wife, first of all, was just so thoughtful. She actually found some things that she thought I would enjoy, certain restaurants with food that she knew I'd like. And I was like, oh, well, that was really thoughtful. And she's like, well, after this, we're going to a place. I'm like, where? She goes, it's a new bar that opened up. It was a 1970s arcade bar where all the old arcade games from the 1970s, from Pac-Man to Miss Pac-Man to the pinball machines to Tetris to Galaga to the Marvel X-Men games. I mean, you had every classic game you could think of in there, and it was a blast. But then we jump in an Uber to go back to the hotel, and what was it called? Cash Cab, I think. Is that what was the name of it, Houston?
Yes.
Yeah, so that show Cash Cab, it was like that. We got in the cab, and all of a sudden, the lights started flaring. There was like strobe lights, music, and we're like, what did we get into? Like, oh, I just drive a fun Uber. That's all. I'm like, okay. And I have some pictures of it that were insane. So, check out your own backyard when you want to travel, and maybe you don't have the time or the money to be able to go far, and just explore because you'd be surprised what we have in your backyard because this place is 4 miles from the Reagan National Airport. Okay, you don't think of a small, quaint community that's quiet and peaceful and fun by an airport usually. So they did a great job. But anything else going on this weekend? You have 2-year anniversary. Congratulations on that. That's huge. You made a huge impact on that place. I know you've broken records there, and you've been on top lists left and right, and you promoted so many people, which says a lot about your leadership, Houston. One thing I want to talk about leadership real quick is people are very worried when they lose a good employee. But over 31 years of me being in HR, the one thing that I've consistently seen and consistently coached to is promote your team members, help them grow and be successful and help them move on. Because what that does is it creates a reputation of you being someone that helps people grow, and people are going to come want to work for you. You're going to be sought out by people in the organization or even through LinkedIn if you tell them about it, because they know that you are a true leader. You're not a selfish leader. And Houston, you're an exact proof of that.
Thank you. And another thing I want to add to that is not only does it give you a reputation that you can grow into, but your community hears about it. I have a line out the door of applicants who want to work for Cycle Care. I mean, they just do. And it's word of mouth. It's watching what the energy is when they come in. And, how much did you spend in your career in any role monthly on recruiting costs? Just like ads on Indeed or that kind of marketing.
Oh,
I don't
thousands of
have to
dollars.
really do it. I know corporate can, right? But truthfully, like I'm turning people away. I'm so sorry, maybe next season kind of thing. It's a blessing and it's so much fun. And as a coach who teaches fun and passion, it really felt almost hypocritical when you think of like background screenings. People don't think that's fun and passion. It is if you know me. This is clearly defined playtime. It's like Toys R Us for motorcyclists. It is a blast. And I'm grateful to turn more people like that, right? We talk about fun and passion doing all things. If you're having fun at work and you're passionate about leadership, leading whatever that role is, right? It doesn't even have to be the top. You could be the lead janitor of the facility. But just having that mindset, I think, is so important. So I'm so excited to get into this. Guys, hi. I see a ton of people in the comments I wanted to say hi to real quick. So,
no, we definitely have a lot of people in the comments. And thank you all for joining us. We got Nick, who's there. Nick, I know I owe you the Spanish version of Miranda Max, and it's coming to you. Leslie, thank you for coming. I do owe you a message as well. Adrian, always great to see you. I love Pac-Man. We played Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. It was so fun. Sorry. I'm like a little kid in a candy store there. And David Pushkin, great to see you. Shawn Michael, thank you for coming. I always try to make your shows live, and I always tend to miss them, Shawn Michael. I need to catch them live one day. And Adrian Copper, I miss Copper right now. This is the first time in a very long time that I not bring our dog on vacation. And my wife found a dog-friendly hotel and everything for Copper to come. I'm like, no, you know what? Let's be able to just relax and not worry about leaving him alone in the room if we have to and stuff like that. So, but we're going to see him in a few hours. And Dr. Ash, thank you for coming, and Leanna and Sharon. So thank you all. Please, by all means, repost the room, share it with your network. Let them know that we're going on live so that they can come join us and hopefully ask some questions or share their experiences. We're going to share the link in the chat in about 10, 15 minutes. Melissa and I just have some things that we wanted to cover, and we're going to hit the ground running. Are you ready to go? Oh, let's do introductions, I guess, for those that maybe haven't met us yet. Houston, what do you think?
I think that's great. And also, guys, just a heads up, today we are at a hard stop at 9, just because if you read yesterday's post, I'm covering my employee Gabe, who usually works Sunday, so he can climb the craziest mountain ever. But so hard stop at 9. If you guys want to join, get into the DMs right now so we can get you into the lineup.
Or if you're in a different time zone, hard stop in 48 minutes.
Boom. That inclusivity. I like that. All right, Felipe, why don't you go first this time?
Oh, that's so kind of you. Well, thank you, Melissa. For those of you who have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Felipe Cofino. I'm a passionate HR exec, currently a LinkedIn top voice, career coach, and an author. I can say I'm a co-author, but I'm also an author of a children's book that I just launched, Miranda and Max, thanks to Guiding Brilliant Publishers, who, by the way, I recommended you to somebody in the hotel today that says they're working on their first book, Nick. I'll tell you more about that later. But if you haven't checked it out, please do me a favor. Check out Miranda and Max on Amazon, because it's a great story for kids to rediscover their imagination. It's a great, fun story that I've seen other kids that are not family members actually enjoy and want to read it over and over again. So that told me I did something right there. And there's a few special gifts that go along with it, a little cartoon video that the kids have really enjoyed as well. That's a QR code on the back of the book that when you scan it, after you read it to them, they can watch the live cartoon of it. All right, so if you want to learn more about that, check out my page. I'll stop shamelessly plugging that. And the other things I'll say is that I am a LinkedIn passionate enthusiast that really loves giving back. This is my tool, giving back. You know, there are people I know like Martha Lobos Amaya out there that she hits the pavement and she gives back in person in a lot of ways. I wish I had the time and the ability and just the desire to be able to do that consistently. But this is my way, and I know, Houston, this is one of your ways of giving back, by sharing our knowledge, our experiences, so that all of you can hopefully learn from it and help your careers, life, and minimize your chaos. Houston and I like chaos for fun, but we don't need chaos intentionally for negative. So with that, I'm going to pass on to my amazing co-host, Miss Houston. Over to you, my friend.
Well, thank you so much. Hey guys, I'm Melissa in Houston. If you haven't met me, I am the self-proclaimed cultivator of dreams and motivator of human capital. And that just means I help people like you figure out what you want to do next, get a plan of action together, usually using Venn diagrams and crayons or markers. And then we have a lot of accountability and conversations behind it. What I will say is being on LinkedIn, like Felipe said, is the give back. It also is where I do my business. So if you want to do it privately, personally, one-on-one, you have that option. Go to documentandact.com, check out the offers I have there. If you mention careers, chaos, and coaching, I might even do a 50% off this week. I don't know why I'm feeling so gracious, but it is still my birthday month, so maybe we'll call it a birthday price. But go check out Document and Act, learn more about me, learn more, about the testimonials from former clients, all that good stuff. And also, can I just say, Felipe, I have your book in my hand right now. I own this book, guys, and I love it. It is the cutest thing. I will say I love these little, icons you have floating at the bottom of the screen. That's a personal
Thanks
thing.
Thanks to you. That was
Hey, I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say,
no, I want to give you credit where credit's due. You have a footprint in my book that's going to be there forever. So, and she was the one who, if you see with the book, you see little, what do you call them? I guess. What would you call them, Houston? The little what? I can't hear you.
Oh, I don't know. The icons are like images. Think about a squirrel and the nuts. I know I've seen imagery in your marketing, but if the squirrel's nuts rolled, then they rolled onto the page too, right? It came out of the picture and into the story. And it's just that unique little thing that makes it pop. But also, Felipe, it's so cool to see your family in like Bitmoji form. I know that's not what it is, right? It's definitely cartoon, but uh, it's just fun, and I love it. And I love that you and your daughter got to bond over this. I love that you guys had this experience. That's part of what I'm celebrating this month, guys. Like I turned 44, celebrating 2 years with the company I'm with. I've been in business for myself for 10 years, doing coaching and consulting. And the coolest part of my month right now, seriously, is my friend wrote a book about his family and it became a bestseller internationally. So I don't know. It's really cool to know the people who helped you get there too, right? Like the publisher and all the people and all of our friends we hang out with here. But guys, if you're not taking advantage of this platform, that's something else I can help with. Truthfully, like just get engaged, get to know these people, bring your best self to the platform. We'll talk about this in the leadership, but I think there's so much opportunity here, and I'm so grateful that you and I got to figure it out and find each other and fight a little bit. So thank you, Felipe.
Well, thank you. And Nick said it well. Little endearing touches that are falling off the page, whether they're flowers, the acorns, paw prints. Yeah. So thank you, Nick. And I gotta say, that's one of the things I love about LinkedIn is the community. We bring community and we support each other. We lift each other up. We don't push each other down, and it's one of those things where in this community, leaders do stand out. We're not fighting for leadership. We are being co-leaders. Melissa and I are co-leading this show right now. That's one thing that our egos are checked at the door. If your ego becomes a part of it and it's all about you, yeah, we got to look out for ourselves. But when you make it all about you, you lose out on the benefits of community. So let's dive into the topic of today. We're talking about leadership. And I'm going to go through my Food-Based 5. Melissa's going to share her wonderful insight. And then we are going to invite you up on stage. So talking about leadership, the whole topic of the room is, is there a role or responsibility? And I can't tell you how many times when I hire a new manager or leader, or I promote somebody new, one of the first things I say to them, and I literally say to the ones that are becoming a manager or leader for the first time, I say, listen, one of the wisest things someone told me was, don't let it go to your head. Because it's very easy. You get excited. You literally are given some power to do things that you weren't able to do before. Don't abuse it, and don't make people feel less than because of it. Because it's not just a role, it's a responsibility. I won't lie that every time I say that, I so want to quote Spider-Man, but I can't because it would lose the professional meaning of what I'm trying to say to them. But, with great power does come with great responsibility. And I think that mindset of what that says is kind of the message is you're getting some serious responsibility. Don't take it lightly and use it wisely. So the 5 things that I always remind people when I'm talking about leadership and helping them to just fine-tune their leadership style, because everyone's style is different. I'm not trying to tell them how they should be. I'm trying to remind them these are key things to remember that people expect from a leader. If you have a leadership title of any kind, at home, at work, people expect these next 5 things from you. Whether you think so or not, they do. And more importantly, this is what I want you all to do. Do some self-evaluation and ask yourself honestly. Don't lie to yourself, because you're only lying to yourself if you do. Do I exemplify these 5 things? And if you don't to the fullest, make a note. I need to work on it. That's it. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just make a note. I need to work on this. Okay. So with that being said, the first one, let's go easy. Trust. It's easy, right? Not so much. People think it's easy, but just because you think you're trustworthy does not mean that people trust you. People look at what you say, or listen to what you say, but they're watching what you do so much more, you all. One of the things I don't know if it's integrity, but the definition sticks in my head of it's not what you do when people are looking, it's what you're doing when you think people aren't looking. Those are the actions that people see, and they notice, wow, this is who this person is, because they see you when you think you're not being seen. So the trust factor and especially in the world like today, we have so many issues with trust, whether it's with government, workplaces, relationships. We have trust issues in this world right now. A leader that has trust is amazing. It brings a lot of value and security. And also, think about this. When you have trust, it creates psychological safety, y'all. When I know I can trust you, that you're not going to stab me in my back, or you're not going to lie to me, or that you're not going to fire me, or whatever that is something that you don't need to worry about. That's huge. So trust is huge. Let me know in the comments how you feel about trust, because it is one of the 5 that I'm going to mention, but I think I would say it's one of the top 2, if not the top. All right, the next one, communication. This one I'm not going to talk about too much, but we need to communicate. We need to communicate clearly. You all know I talk about how we have 4 different communication styles, and most of us have a preferred style over others. It doesn't mean that we don't have all 4 in us, but we just prefer maybe processing information by reading it and then communicating. Others like to talk while they think and communicate off the cuff. Neither is wrong, it's just different. But if we don't understand the others, they conflict. So if I know that Melissa Houston would rather have me send her a document to read and then let's talk about it, versus me just rattling off my idea and saying, what do you think? I know she doesn't respond well to that. Why don't I send it to her ahead of time? And that way we can have the conversation that I want to have with her. But if you don't, as a leader, if you don't understand that people have different communication styles and you don't know how to tailor yours to get your message across, you're missing the boat. People expect you to know how to communicate with different crowds, different audiences, and different people. If you're not doing it, it's up to you to find a way to understand and learn about that. All right, the next one, let's talk about vision. If a leader does not have vision, then what the hell are you doing there? Where is the company going? Are we looking to grow? Are we trying? Do we have a plan to get involved in the community? Are we looking to improve what we currently do? I mean, you have to have vision. If you don't have vision, what I have found is that the people that do not have vision are typically the ones that are the one-trick ponies. They did the one thing they wanted to do and they're happy and they don't want to do anything else. They just want to sit and enjoy that moment as long as it'll last, and they're not looking to do more. And I don't know what to call that other than it's just they had a goal, they achieved it, and they just wanted to be able to check it off their bucket list. But a true leader has got a vision for the future. A true leader is thinking about the future, not just of what they want, but what's the future really look like? What's the population and what are the generations? Are we going to have more millennials and Gen Zers? Are we going to have more baby boomers than we thought? What is that going to look like? And with workforce flexibility, what are we doing about hybrid and remote? Are we thinking about the future of that? Because if you're not thinking about it and ignoring it, you're not really being a visionary. And then what's the vision for your company? Where is it going in the future? Where do you see yourself in 3, 5, 10 years? So this is such an important thing to have. All right, the next one is one of my favorites, y'all. It is accountability, which it's not coming on the screen for some reason. I don't know why. Did my screen freeze?
It's okay. I'm sure they can handle this. We got this. Felipe, are you there?
Oh, wait.
Okay.
There we go. Sorry. Okay. My thing just rebooted a little bit. All right. So accountability. It is not a 4-letter word. And I don't mean that literally. It is, people are afraid of accountability. They're afraid of conflict, of confrontation. Accountability is not a bad thing. Accountability is just telling somebody, hey, next time, don't do it this way. Or, hey, this is against policy. You can't do this. And if they keep on doing it, the accountability is going to get tougher. And it should, because that person's not listening. They're choosing to do something that they know they're not supposed to do in most cases. But the positive thing about accountability is it helps us grow and learn, but it also, a leader, it also helps you retain your other talents. Because nothing upsets me more than seeing the top salesperson of the company treat everyone like crap, but no one addresses it because they don't want to lose the top salesperson because they make so much money for us that we can't afford to lose them. So we're going to tolerate them being a bully and being toxic. No, because what happens is all the other good talent slowly gets either diminished and demotivated, or they leave. And they're not going to put up with that crap. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, maybe they would have put up with it more. Today, people are not putting up with that. So it's your job as a leader to make sure that you are creating a workplace where you are holding people accountable. And same at home with your kids. Why did she get away with it and I got in trouble with it? No, that's not fair. You got to be consistent with your accountability. And you don't have to be a jerk about it. If you communicate, hey, if you do this, you're going to lose your privileges for the next 2 days. It's, oh, they did it. Hey, guess what? Sorry. Now, what happens is people are like, oh, well, now we got to find someone to do that now. Who's going to help us with that? Well, you know what? Suck it up, because you're going to help that other person more. And for you to do a little bit extra because of that accountability, whether it's dealing with the kid upset and screaming, or dealing with someone else doing the work for that person that you suspended or told them to stop doing that and somebody else will do it. It can be frustrating, but accountability is one of the biggest culture killers out there, or lack of accountability is. All right. And then the last one is empathy. Empathy is something that's so important, because at the end of the day, we got to understand that everyone is different. And don't tell me emotions don't belong in business, because guess what? When you use people's emotions to buy things at the counter for impulse buys, or you use emotions in commercials to get people to buy your products, if you're using it in business like that, then don't say it doesn't belong in the workplace because you're using it. So you've got to be in tune, and a leader is going to be empathetic. They may not fully understand what you're going through, but they're going to be empathetic enough to understand that you're dealing with something difficult and you might need some extra time or space. And also, an empathetic leader is going to recognize when you're not being yourself. So I'm going to stop there, because I know I went a little bit longer than I expected. I apologize for that, Houston, but I want you to share your wonderful insight, because I know you had some great insights about this, and I went over a very high level. Melissa has more, I think, better examples. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say better. I shouldn't put myself down like that.
Different. We're just different.
Just different, just good examples. And then we might have some chaos. But while she's talking, I am going to put the link in the chat. And when she's done, we're going to invite you all to join us. So over to you, Houston.
Listen, I love this conversation. And I actually want to start with a question. Which one of those pillars do you think you exemplify most? And I'm going to ask Felipe, but I also want the people in the comments to answer. If you were paying attention, if any of this spoke to you, which one do you harness the most? Because truthfully, we don't have to be 100% on everything. You know, you were talking about video games earlier, and I just thought about that bar, you know, like your life bar above your score. If you guys have ever played, you know what I'm talking about. There's a health bar there. If we have a health bar for every pillar of leadership that he just covered, which one would be your strongest, right? You don't always have the most defense if you have the most attack, or whatever that might be. Even Pokemon, right? Same thing. And so I think about that as, you don't have to have them all to win as a leader, and I finger quotes on the win, but I think being aware that there is this Venn diagram, that overlapping circles of all of these qualities that are required to be successful long term. I just would love to hear from the crowd. So that was my first thought, is like, I want to think about that myself. I do think accountability is probably my strongest, because I hold myself accountable. I love the quote, you know, Stanley had it right. With great power does come great responsibility. When I think about his life, this guy who wrote these comic books and the different things he saw in his lifetime, early 19, 40s and 50s, he was writing these books and storylines of heroes and what it means and what the villains look like. And truthfully, as a grown-up, taking that circle, that Venn diagram of the comic book characters, which side are you on? You know, did you become the leader you never wanted to? Are you the leader you always dreamt of? And when I started thinking about the different leadership types for me, I thought about these three terms: accelerator, aggregator, and anchor. And it's fun. They're all A's. It's going to happen. Yeah, add in that accountability, right? There's some stuff in there. But I think an accelerator is somebody who pushes their team forward by highlighting their best bar of health, right? I would put the person best at customer service at the customer service counter, the person who lives to clean and is happiest just like sweeping and singing and being Snow White on the floor with the mop bucket. That is their job. If you love stickers and you like to be very detail oriented and make sure the store looks beautiful, I'm going to put you in that role, because why would I make the guy who wants to scrub make the store look pretty in other ways beyond scrubbing, if that's it, right? And so accelerator, I think, is just getting to know your team, tapping into who you have, even if their skill set is beyond your walls. I have a couple of team members who want to work in computer engineering. They want to work for the defense department. They would like to go be photographers professionally and do it on the weekends. What do? I put them in front of you guys. I tell them to take photos. I tell them, to do it for our community events. And I pull those things out. So when I ask them to go do the other things they don't love so much, they're willing, because I'm giving them playtime in their passions, and they're willing to execute for me. So I think there's an accelerator in our lives. And if you guys think about the leader who is that accelerator, there is a teacher, a parent, a somebody who gave you that motivation and said, hey, I know we're supposed to do this job, but you can do this job and go do this too. I think that's the boss I want to be. And I have proven myself to be, especially in this role with the way I've promoted people. Then there's the aggregator. And if you think about an aggregator, I have like washing machine in mind. It's that part in the middle that just back and forth, and it's moving things around and getting it clean and like agitating the whole situation to loosen the chaos, right? It doesn't always land. Coming in and shaking things up too quickly has a ripple. We have seen leadership come in and go, I don't care what you guys have worked on for a decade. This is my way. This is now how we do it. I don't even want to learn your way. That's an aggregator. It is also somebody who can come in and flip the script on a store, a facility, a business, a family, who can come in and shake up those standards and do it well if they allow for input, right? And so if you're going to be an aggregator, how much time and space do you give your team to allow for that? I think those aggregators can really hurt or hinder the business. They are those salespeople, those ones who will bring the money, but could hurt the entirety of the business because of their behavior. And we see them, especially on social media. You might even call them trolls at times, or people who like to poke just to see a reaction. Sometimes you poke to go, hey, you got 10. Can you get 12? Good job. You just broke your all-time record. Can you go farther? The best coach for Michael Jordan probably told him, hey, your three-point shot was great. Can you back up 5 feet and do it again? So I think about those aggregators. Could he upset Michael Jordan? And he's like, what do you mean? It's a three-pointer. I hit my shots where I hit my shots. Or Michael could go, yeah, I'll see you at half court, right? And so something to think about. And then the third one for me I wrote down was anchor. Now, this is that thing where Felipe was talking about vision. And, what do you do if you don't have it? And I think those anchors are those people who may just show up. They may be consistent. They may keep you steady. They're always going to be there to answer the phone when it rings. But then they're not going to get into action without direction. They anchor you in and they're stable, but they're not really going to move you anywhere, right? That's the whole point, is you can rely on them to do nothing. And you know that about them, or just do the bare minimum. They're always going to meet standards. And so when you have those people in leadership, you're never going to grow. I always called that the fax machine people. They hated email, right? And then the typewriter people didn't want to give those up for the computers. If you're an anchor, it can be good for your business or it can be bad. A lot of anchors of business do really well until something like COVID happens. And people who anchored in and never were able to evolve or change with the tide, they were just stuck where they are, and their job was to just hold firm, lost their footing eventually. The boats, the tides, the land, it all shifts, right? There's other boats that might come up. And if you're just anchored into this one spot, but not really planning for what's changing around you, eventually there's going to be a problem. The rope's going to snap. Something else is going to get tangled in it. It's going to be chaotic. And so that's what my brain did today. The other thing I would say is insecurity in leadership is usually where you see abuse of power. And I don't know if you guys agree. I would love to hear from you on this, Felipe, too. And this will be where I hand back the mic. But anytime I see somebody who's a leader, and I finger quote, somebody who has been elevated to a position where people look up to them for direction, I always look at how they behave then, right? Some take it and run with it and they flip the script. They don't care what you've worked on. This is my way now. Or they try to meet you in the middle and figure out what's working, what's not. Hear from you, get your assessment. And when I see people who close those walls, I don't need to hear from you. I'm always right. You're always wrong. It doesn't matter what you have to say. I've already figured it out. It's because they're insecure about the actual decision. They're insecure about their place in the world, and they're worried that your question might shake the podium. And so be careful around those people because if they're scared to fall, they are going to grab onto you. It's the same thing as like when you're drowning. You don't want to be near other people who are drowning. Somebody could use you as the flotation device. And so just be careful when you see leadership doing that. Run away, set boundaries, find help. But that's my thought. What do you think, Felipe?
No, I love what you shared. Because, look, 31 years in HR, and I've had to coach a lot of CEOs that were willing to be coached, and then CEOs that said, I'll tell you when I want you to coach me. I'm like, okay. But your 3 points there, the accelerator, I love that because you're right. We all have that person that gave us that opportunity or inspired us or give us the encouragement, that teacher, that first manager, that friend that just said, you got this, you can do this. That accelerator in a leader makes a huge difference because we appreciate it from family and friends, but when we hear it from someone that's in a leadership role, it adds a little bit more value. The aggravator, I think that's, it's, you need to disrupt things sometimes. There's a book I love. It's about 10 years old. It's called First Break All the Rules. And it doesn't mean go out there and be a rule breaker per se. What it means is, it reminds me of a class I took. A lot of you know that I'm Catholic, okay? And I'm not the perfect Catholic by any means, but I went to a Catholic university. Actually, I went to the Catholic University of America. And one of the first classes I had to take of religion there was about Catholicism. I'm like, all right, this is going to be easy. And the teacher said on the first day, I'm going to make you question everything you've ever believed in. And you're either going to walk out of here with a much stronger faith, or you're going to walk out here questioning everything in your life. I walked out of there with a stronger faith, but the reason why was he made me doubt everything and revisit and question. A disruptor is going to do the same thing in the workplace. They're going to go in there and they're going to say, I love how things are working. I just want to try some things and see, is it still working? Is it still the best way to continue doing it? And you don't know unless you disrupt it and try something different. Say, okay, this different way definitely did not work. Too many variables. Let's go back to the other way. You all had it right. Next thing. So we need to disrupt this a little bit, try something different. That's how you grow. That's where someone who has a vision saying, hey, we need to be competitive and stay relevant. The only way we can do that is by trying new things and changing things up. So I think that was so important. And the anchors, those are challenging because I feel like the older they get in their career and closer to retirement, the more of an anchor they might become. But sometimes those anchors get us through those tough times too. They're the ones that are the consistent, steady eddies that get us through those difficult times. But you're right. The fear factor is, can they deviate and change if they need to? And usually they're the ones that have a more difficult time. So the last thing I'll say about that with leadership is being agile during COVID, during pandemics, during crises of any kind. You want a leader that's going to take charge, but you also need a leader that when they're stumped, because we all have those, every leader does not have a solution to everything. That's why they're leading people in a team, because they rely on them. And one of the wisest things that I learned early on was, when I don't have that solution, go to your team. What suggestions do you have? Challenge whatever I've done. What is it? What's going wrong? What's a better idea? And listen to them, because a leader is probably going to change their mind 30 to 40% of the time based on their team's feedback, if they truly have taught them well and listened. So I'll stop there because I think that,
I just,
go ahead.
let me put a little cherry on this. What you are saying, I'm thinking about my team, guys. This is the youngest team I've had in a long time. Just by the nature of the business, right? It's motorcycles, it's a college town, it's retail. But being able to say, hey guys, listen, we're going to do the in-store front display. Like, I'm just thinking about skill sets. They come in and sometimes it's their first job. And when you think about a store display in the window, you know, think those Christmas movies where they've set them up before or whatever, even Elf, if you can think of Will Ferrell doing it, where you either have a great display or you don't. It either wows or it doesn't. And just taking them outside the store and going, hey, what do you see about this window? If we took 10 more feet, you know, if we stepped 10 feet backwards, what would you see? And just teaching them to look through your eyes. And this is a very simple experience. And I wanted to use the retail because you guys shopped. You understand. Next time you look through the window, I want you to think about the leadership and how they're leading their team to display that. And then also use that same analogy within your business. What is your team displaying for leadership? When you think about the movies where you've seen bosses, and I'm using Elf for example, there's that guy who runs the North Pole, and I can't think of his name. He's the supervisor, and he's like, I know Santa. He's like, no, you don't. He's like, yes, I do. No, you don't. And they go back and forth. And instead of saying, well, how do you know Santa? He just tells him he's wrong, right? And when I think about these analogies, Felipe, who was your best and what was the worst part while we're waiting for people, unless they're ready? Oh, hi, Gregory. But I really want to know that. Like, what's the worst skill set one of your leaders has exemplified in front of the team? And then what's the best you've seen?
A leader who thought they were funny, and instead of being funny, they were highly inappropriate. And usually when a leader is inappropriate, you don't hear immediate pushback. You just hear dead silence. And those leaders tend to be oblivious to that. So that's one thing that's really just surprising. And, you know, when you were talking there, Melissa, you mentioned something. And when we talked about empathy, we probably need to do like a part 2 to this show, because I want to give better example. I want to give some more examples of what people can do. Because when we say empathy, there's so much we could dive into all these different things that we shared. But empathy specifically, a leader who stays in touch with what you do, a leader that, you know, one of my biggest fears is not knowing how to do a job that I used to do before because I've been so out of touch. So I try to stay involved with recruitment, payroll, benefits, you know, technology, whatever it is, so that I'm not like, oh, I haven't done it before in so long, I don't know how to do it. I don't want to become so obsolete. But besides selfishly not wanting to become obsolete, I also want to understand how tough is my team's job. And if I can't try to go in there and learn about how they're doing it today, how am I going to help lead them or be empathetic to them? Because one of the greatest things I had was a CEO who said, I'll take care of recruitment while you're gone. I go, you've never done recruitment. He's just show me, I'm sure I can at least do some work for you. I showed him, I came back after a week. He goes, oh my God, I'm never doing that again. That's insane. I don't know how you do that. And after that, he always said, Felipe needs time for recruitment. That's a huge undertaking. You don't know how much time it takes to do that. No CEO has ever said that to me in my entire career until that person. So a CEO who understands your jobs, takes the time to learn, and then be empathetic. Now, before we get to Gregory, I just want to address 2 questions that came in here. One from Sharon Rose, where she said, what do people really want to learn when asking in an interview, tell me about yourself? And I'll tell you, Sharon, that's one of my favorite questions to ask. And I'm going to let you in on a really big secret. All right. It was one of the first questions I was told to ask because it's an appropriate question to ask. However, what you can say and what you should say is professionally or personally. And immediately they're going to say professionally, of course. But the reason why interviewers ask that question is that I've had people tell me their life story and their dramas and all the ins and outs of their dirty laundry that most of it I don't care about. But when you're in that story of the dirty laundry, you tell me, and it just made me walk off my last job. And I'm like, oh, and I gave my previous supervisor the finger. I'm like, oh, you did? Okay. And I'm smiling, listening to the story. People will share more than they need to. So it is a catch-22. But it's a chance for you to share things that we might not learn about you professionally through our interview questions. So be comfortable sharing about yourself professionally, just be careful not to overshare. And then there's one other question here I want to get
Oh,
to.
I want to add to that real quick.
Go ahead while I'm looking for it.
Thank you. I think the way to answer it is to be honest about yourself. Because I don't know how to tell you to answer this question, but what I will say is I answer it with, I'm a gold star chart chaser. And they go, what is that? Because nobody's ever heard that before. But I tell them, I loved my gold stars in first grade. My teacher told me if I did my job well, they would give me gold stars. And so that's probably the first thing you should know about me is I like my gold stars. I like to win. I like to see my name on the top of the leadership board. That's all any sales, corporate, growth minded professional needs to hear to ask the next question. But you guys need to find that fun and passion, tie it into the business or the role in some way. If I was going to apply at an art supply store, I would talk about all my favorite crayons and markers and how I love Copic alcohol markers because they blend well and all of these things. Tell them you know their product and how it applies to your life is the best way to move forward, or how you keep yourself accountable and drive yourself forward would be another way I'd like to answer that. Sorry if we leave it. What's the next?
No, that's great. Tapping into passion is a good thing. You know, I always talk about how I use photography and LinkedIn, and now those two passions are being used at PRB. So, all right. So the other question, real quick, and before we get to Gregory, was about a vision, a leader and their vision. How is a leader produces a vision? Is it genuine? But it's how a leader produces the vision. Is it genuine? And I think that's it. An important question to ask yourself. Is that vision they have purely for financial success of the company? Is it vision of a genuine success of the company in all aspects, in our reputation, the community, the employees, the clients, financially? A vision should include all those things. It's kind of like the mission statement, and it should include everything that you're trying to focus on. If you leave something out, it tells you a lot about the company or the leader. If they don't mention the employees at all during their vision or mission, that might be a red sign. So I'm glad you brought that up. Whoever you are, LinkedIn user, let us know. We'd love to hear it. And we have just got about 12 minutes left, you all. So if any of you all want to come up real quick after Gregory to ask a question or share in the chat, by all means, or invite your friends. But Gregory, thank you for joining us on stage. What is your question or comment about leadership? Over to you.
Hey, belated happy birthday, MAH. Hope you enjoyed the coffees that I sent you.
Thank you so much, Gregory.
Yeah. This subject is virtually touching my heartstrings on it, and my how I will answer the question of the day. I am a big believer in terms of trust. I have a very trust quotient and trust gene and stuff, and because trust, if you do not have trust, your authenticity sorry, I'm butchering that word up. I'm always butchering that word up, and your integrity goes out the window. And I'm dealing with an association that virtually I thought I could trust some people on the board, and I have four good, somewhat good relationship with four people on a board that I would like something to be done, and they virtually tossed their nose on it and virtually giving me a whole runaround that it cannot be done, blah, 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 blah. That's where I will say, in terms of leadership and trust, goes out the window, per se. And since that I am probably one of the few people who is racialized and neurodiverse, and in regards to this issue that I had, I'm not going to say it say the details here. I'd rather keep that to myself, per se. That's where I will say one of the things that you brought up, empathy and accountability, goes out the window too, as well as that the situation that I'm dealing with is counter to their vision, in terms of their vision statement that they always go to and basically outlines the vision of their association and what their goals and what they want to do and stuff. And I feel that they are, in my view, going against their vision and stuff, their vision statement. And I find that a lot of vision statements is basically what I call PRHR, public relations, human resources, or human resources, public relations, HRPR. And I find that I'm finding that this firsthand, that the visions of associations and companies aren't worth the ink or the words that they're written on, and people virtually, I will say, there's an old saying, they cut their nose to spite their face, and that's what I feel in regards to these vision platitudes and statements is about and stuff. And that's where I will say that for the past 2 or 3 days now, that my psychological safety within this organization, within this association that I joined for the second time, and I left for the first time in around the 1990s, early 2000s. I feel that my psychological safety as a person who's racialized and as a person who's neurodiverse, all in one, is in a psychological safety type of way per se. So that's all I want to say about that. So I yield
Well,
the mic.
Greg, thank you for sharing that. It's very challenging when you are working with others that don't have the same vision as you. But trust does not mean always getting the yes, and I think that's important for us to remember, because look, I've learned in HR, it's hard for HR to be heard sometimes. But if I try to tell people 17 years ago when I got on LinkedIn what I'm doing today, what I was saying today, I don't think anyone would trust me because they didn't know me. So it took time to build those relationships. I know you said you had great relationships with 4 of them, but understanding why you got that no, I think is just as important as fighting for that no. Because if you understand why you got the no, then there's an area where you can focus on, okay, if this company is open to it, it's just a no right now, then let's work on the things that need to improve so we can get that yes. And I know that's not always the case, but I will say that also change happens with time. Change is definitely any leader that comes into a new job and does quick changes tends to not, when they make quick changes without learning about how things are being done, it can be dangerous. And that's why it's always told to leaders to come in, hey, observe for like 3 months before you make any changes, is always the common recommendation. So I think it's important for us to know that, yes, that trust is one of the things that I find is one of my most greatest strengths, but it's also because if I lose that trust in HR, I've lost all credibility and I'll probably never get it back. And it's so hard to maintain that trust once you have it, but earning it is very hard. That's why for me, my philosophy is kind of the opposite, ironically enough, is I trust you all until you give me a reason not to. And if you betray that trust, yeah, it's going to be really hard to get it back. But I believe that people are trustworthy until they give me a reason not to. So, Houston, I know we have Nick's going to come up on stage next, but Houston, your thoughts on Gregory's share?
Yeah, I mean, this is hard. And Gregory, I'm sorry you're going through it. I did enjoy my coffee. Thank you very much. I will say that there are times where I have entered rooms that felt like they were supposed to fit. They were associations or chambers or whatever it was, right? Where this is why we're supposed to be here. And then it didn't. And I wanted to make it feel more inclusive to people like me, and it didn't work. And so I left. And it actually, I wrote the word leadership down one day, and I remember it was lead her ship. I changed it to me directing my ship, my boat, away from the people that weren't my people. Like I went to Journey to go find the people that I aligned with more instead of making them align with me. And I think it's hard. There is this line where you have to determine, do you try to become an aggregator in the moment, because that's what it would take to get this done, right? That's that aggregation of the washing machine in the center. It's going to need to be swapped around and shifted and changed up. But if they're not willing to get into the machine and be changed up with you, it's going to just be detrimental to everybody. It's not forward progress. It becomes a lot of what we see in the world today. Just fighting back and forth instead of trying to move forward. And I think you should lead your ship away from those people and start a new club. There might be 10 other people who had the same experience, or reflect on what you need to change, like Felipe said, and go back and be like, okay, it's a no, but why is it a no, and how can we change that? And if they give you direction, that's helpful, right? Because if I tell my kids no, but if you do your chores it will turn into a yes, they have an actionable plan, and that becomes something where we're accelerating instead of agitating. Back to you, Felipe.
All right. Well, thank you, Gregory, for that. And Nick, we got 4 minutes left. So, Gregory, I'm going to move you back to the green room. Be careful, don't trip. And Nick, please share your insights or questions. Over to you.
So first, I want to say hi. This has been an incredible conversation. I'm cooking and listening, and making sure to stop the comment. I guess I just want to share that I feel leadership is everyone's responsibility. Somebody being a boss does not make them the leader. Big difference there. And the buy-in has to be by everyone in the company, boss and team. I feel that trust, empathy, accountability, all those things have to go both ways. It cannot be expected only from the employer. And each of us is leading ourselves each day. So we also have to take accountability as employees to make sure that we are leading by example, the same that we would like to see. And I think employers also need to open up a little bit and be a little bit more vulnerable, because they are also human, right? So if they trip up and they can't get something done, or they didn't do something right, it is okay to say, I did not get this right, but I'm going to try again. So yeah, that's it. That's my share. Bye-bye.
I love that share, Nick. Melissa, I'm going to let you respond to Nick. I just want to share this comment from Shawn Michael real quick. What's harder, leading people at work who choose to follow you, or leading at home where your flaws are most exposed? I feel like we really could do a whole other part 2 to the show. Houston, let me know if you're open to that, because
Let's do it. Let's do it next show, because I think this is a great continuation conversation. Truthfully, I don't think there should be a difference between at home and at work too much. Like, I'm a Venn diagram girl. So hold on. Let me finish my thought. Hold on.
All right, go.
I'm a Venn diagram girl. I do think that the bullet points of leadership should be in the center in your personal life. I do think if you're accountable to yourself, you're not going to just play a leader at home or at work or vice versa. You're going to hold those moral standards for yourself. And if you're not, ask yourself why. That's really where I come back to. If it's not aligning, at least, a good portion of the time, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. But if it's not aligning, if you're not being authentic in both places, if your wife wouldn't recognize the person at work or vice versa, that's a problem for me. That for me doesn't work well for authenticity. So that's my thought. Felipe, what are you thinking?
No, I agree, and I think that it's leadership is that centerpiece in that Venn diagram, absolutely. But there are flaws at home that we're afraid to show at work. I mean, we've talked about mental health, and afraid, as a leader, it took me a long time to share that I dealt with anxiety, but I wanted to do it to help talk about mental health and wellness at work. But the reality is that we got a lot of flaws that we don't even share on LinkedIn or our friends sometimes. So I think that's a really great question, Shawn Michael, and I look forward to tackling it. I don't know what we'll call it. If it'll be part 2, it might just be part 2. Maybe we'll use this comment here as part of the title somehow. But thank you for that wonderful share there. And with that, Miss Houston and Nick, thank you again for your insight there, because I think that leadership, looking at the whole company, is so important. But you also made me think something really important when you were talking. We got a lot of entrepreneurs that join us, Melissa, and are part of our network. And we're 2 of those entrepreneurs, 3 of us on the stage. But leadership for an entrepreneur sometimes can be so much harder than in the corporate world, because it's your baby. and you're growing it from scratch, and you have seen it grow with blood, sweat, and tears, and all of a sudden you need help. You start hiring employees. Think and remember what we talked about today with the trust and the compassion, the empathy and the vision and accountability and the aggravator and the accelerator. These are things that an entrepreneur probably needs to think about so much more when they start hiring, so that their leadership can hit the ground running and you don't have to play catch up. Thoughts on that, Houston, before we wrap up?
I mean, I love this conversation. And truthfully, I think we have to determine how much of what we really are, how much we're growing into. Just because you're displaying it at work and not at home yet doesn't mean you're, faking it or you're a fraud. It means you're practicing. And so please don't take this as judgment, because it's not. It's just something that we have to hold ourselves accountable for. I do think this is a conversation we should keep talking about. I think I would love to hear from you guys on how you want us to address it. Do we just come in with that thought? Do you have a different layer you would like to add to this conversation? But we're going to do it because you guys are asking. It's been a great discussion, though, Felipe. I'm so glad we're back.
I am too. Season 3 is hitting the ground, or it's strong. I can't even speak. Season 3 is off to a great start. Let's just say that. I'm excited.
Yeah, we just fumbled right through that. No,
we did. We just totally did.
Aren't they the best part of the show, though? It's the guests. It's the people in the comments.
It is. The comments, the ideas, the added value. I mean, Shawn Michael, Nick, Gregory, all of you. That Meryl always being here. Thank you, Meryl, for the encouragement on part 2. Sharon Rose, great questions. Aaron Gibson watching on YouTube. Gotta love the man for that. Love the YouTube support. So real quick, everyone here, we are going to do a part 2. Let us know what your thoughts are. Jay and Adrian and Sharon, great to see you as well. So let us know in the comments, part 2, your thoughts on what you want us to cover, and we will reply back to you in the comments. And then we'll be back in 2 weeks. But before I forget, real quick, because I know Miss Houston's going to say her last thoughts here, but while she does, do me a favor, check out her website, okay? And if you want to see all the great work she does, the website is wonderful and it shares a lot of information. So scan that, or go back to the replay and scan it again. And then her YouTube channel, don't forget about her YouTube channel, please. Help improve that, because this is where we house a lot of the stuff we're doing. It's easier to find sometimes than on LinkedIn. Not hating on you all, LinkedIn. We love you, but video-wise, YouTube's got it going on. And then I'll just do a quick shout out for Cofino Consulting. If you're looking for any HR services, career coaching, or recruiting, reach out to me. And then I'll ask for the same thing. YouTube, follow me on YouTube. So I didn't want to forget to do that, Houston. I just want to do that real quickly for us.
I am so glad you remembered. And also, guys, if you're not subscribing, you're missing out, because if you miss us in these times where we're gone, that's a great place to go tap into it. Maybe you love the show and you just want to revisit it when you're in a different space and you come back to the concept and you're diving into leadership. But also check out his other shows. He didn't mention them, but I love the workplace wellness. Sumana and Ashley and they're always in my headphones when I'm at work. I love what they bring to the table too. I love that Ashley does art. She and I have never really communicated, Felipe, and we're so alike in so many ways. But you guys, I feel like I know her because of that show, and so go check him out over there for sure. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. But thanks for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, so we'll be back in 2 weeks. A week from Monday, we will have the next episode of the Workplace Wellness Hour, and then Saturday, Social Saturday Chat, as always. And thank you all for just making this another great episode and sharing your insights and values so that we can continue to give back here on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So, Houston, have a great rest of your Sunday. I will see you in a couple weeks. And everyone, take care. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Tell Michelle we said hi.
I will. Bye, everyone. Tell Peyton we said hi.
In the morning light, I'm chasing dreams, navigating through He offers streams, deadlines looming, emails piling high, wondering if I'm reaching for the sky or just passing by. The world outside, it's a swirling storm, chaos in the streets, a daily norm. But inside my mind, I'm seeking peace, a way to balance, a moment to seize. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place. Upon meetings, voices in my head, strategies and plans, where do they lead instead? I take a breath, step back to see the bigger picture, what's meant to be. Coaching sessions, a guiding light, helping me focus, setting things right. With every word, a new perspective gained. In the game of life, it's not about the pain. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place. Quiet moments, I find my voice. In the chaos, I make my choice to lead with kindness, to act with care, to be the change, to show I'm aware. Careers, chaos, and coaching too. Finding the path, what else can we do? Observing closely, learning as we go. Making decisions, let our wisdom show. Through the storms and the calm, we'll find our way. With every challenge, we'll learn to say, we've got the strength, we've got the grace to face the world and find our place.